Speak to My Heart Life Coaching presents the Door to Expansion webcast. Your host, Mar Anthony Hubbard. Co-host, Stephanie Hollins Passmore. Prepare your ears to listen and your heart to receive. As you take in words that change lives, renew hearts, and open minds.
Good people, what is going on?
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
It has been almost close to a month and a half, if not 2 months, since we did our last show, Stephanie. So, I guess we're gonna have to rub a couple cobwebs off of us. And I think right now, with this show right here, this little series, change versus transformation, is gonna be one of the best ones that we probably gonna come up with. Only for the simple fact that we're going to actually define what change versus transformation really is. And with that being said, I'm gonna get my little introduction out the way so we can go and get through that. So I am Mar Anthony Hubbard. I am the owner and founder of Speak to My Heart Life Coaching. And what I really deal with is relationships. And whenever I say relationships, everybody first thinks of relationships as dealing with other men and women all alike. But what I really start really focusing on is you have to be able to understand yourself before you can be in a relationship with anybody else. So that's what my focus is as a life coach. And Miss Stephanie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, Stephanie Hollins Passmore, marriage and family therapist, licensed mental health clinician, and I am the solo practitioner for the Narrative Shift, counseling and consultation. And I facilitate change on a daily. I hope that's what I'm doing with my clients. So everyone has a story to tell, and I just help individuals. We can only heal from things that we're willing to talk about. So, and that's part of transformation and change. So yeah, that's me.
All right, and then I'm gonna let Mr. Carlos introduce himself, and then I'm gonna give you a little backstory about how I know this man here.
How y'all doing? I'm Carlos Hutley, better known as DJ Hut, here in Quincy, Florida, the North Florida, South Georgia area. And like he said, me and Mr. Mar Anthony, I first learned his name as Aloysius, though. I think it was Aloysius.
Aloysius it was.
Aloysius in Hawaii back in, I want to say, what was it, 98, 99? So
yeah.
It's a good man. And I'm happy to be a part of what he's got going on right now. So you'll learn a lot about me through my story about transformation. So stay tuned.
Oh.
All right, so I'm gonna see if I can show this right here. So I just wanted to show that right there and show what the difference between change and transformation really is. Change is just something that it happens. If you think about it, change is something we change a tire and we keep moving. We can change our clothes and we're gonna keep moving. But transformation is a whole mind switch. So that's basically what we're gonna be discussing today. And before we get started, this show really came about. Well, this series really came about because some of the holidays that we just experienced. We done went through Cinco de Mayo Day. We done went through Juneteenth. We done went through the 4th of July. All these things are things that change history, and we all agree to that. Now, I did say it changed history. I didn't say it transformed history, because if it transformed history, we probably wouldn't be in the same boat that we're in right now. think about all the stuff that's going on right now, as far as Juneteenth. We take Juneteenth, for example. We just started really celebrating Juneteenth, but it actually became a holiday last year. But where are people mindset at about this? To me, it's not really indicative of what's going on right now. So whenever we start thinking of, and that's where the change and the transformation really came in at. So with that being said, so the reason how I met Mr. Carlos is he was right back in '98. I just moved to Hawaii, and he was like, "Hey, bro, we standing in the barracks in the dorm rooms. If you were in college, we was in there, and he was like, "Hey, man, what do you want to do? I see you here." And so I said, "You know what, man? I don't know what's going on." And so he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take you under my wing." And so we went out to a few places. And at the time, and he did give me permission. He was a DJ, and he was called DJ Baby Home. And from there, I was like, you know what?
Like
I'm
the
really
garden
enjoying-
tool?
Yeah, we're gonna go with the garden tool.
Okay,
Okay.
We'll go with the garden tool.
We'll go with the garden too.
Mhm.
I think over those past 2.5 years, me and him, we really stayed connected together. He even threw my birthday party for me. And he introduced me to a lot of people while we were in Hawaii. And it was amazing enough that after all these years, we are still together. And whenever I think of change and transformation, from the time whenever we were very young at the time to where we are now, it just is indicative of what this word really means. So that's all of the history that we got. So we go way back from '98. And like he said, at the time, yes, I was Aloysius. And my thought process with naming Aloysius is all the wishes. If you had any type of wish, guess what? I was there to grant it for you. So that's where it came from.
Yeah.
But now we on this side of the world in our ages, and which is a good thing. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll follow up with a couple questions. But the floor is on you.
Floor is on me. I appreciate it. Where do I start? As a child, growing up in a small rural area outside of a medium-sized city. Tallahassee is not that big. It's okay. But growing up as a child, grew up in a household where a single mother was living with her parents. So grandparents basically raised me. And with that being said, I had a grandmother who was AME, and I had a grandfather who was Primitive Baptist. So back then, you had church every Sunday. And I don't mean at the same church, because Primitive Baptist had them on second and fourth, and then we would have to go to the AME on first and third. So as we got older, that teenagehood, you start trying to go less and less, and you pick which church you want to go to. And I stuck with Primitive Baptist. So I grew up pretty much in a faith-based home environment. You couldn't get away with too much. You had to, go to church, and you realize at an early age who Jesus Christ was and who God was. So that was the beginning of your faith base that helped you through life. And I'm gonna go back to that because growing up, like I was talking to you guys earlier, growing up, I was a musician in the church. Church was a big part of my early childhood. And then as I got older and I went out into the world, joined the Navy at age 17. And it's gonna sound funny because you think about it. In the Bible, they teach you how the king had 2 sons and the son went off. He asked his daddy for all the riches and he went off and he went into the world. Well, same thing ironically kind of happened to me, but I didn't have no riches because like I said, we weren't rich, we were poor. But you never knew we were poor. That's the funny thing. I mean, as you look at it now, we were poor. But my grandma and my grandfather worked. One worked during the day, the other one worked at night. and you never knew we were poor because we always had what we needed. And that's what's missing in today's society. You know, the structure where a household, you may not have everything the other kids have or the rich people have, but to have a household where two people always managed to make sure you had a roof over your head, we had lights, even when the storm came, we had candles. They knew how to do stuff, and that generation is gone. That generation is gone. It's a sad thing, but we as kids, we learn stuff, and it comes back to us as we grow into adults. So yeah, I went off into the Navy at 17, and I stopped going to church because I didn't have anybody to say, hey, you need to go to church. I ain't want to hear that. I was what I consider grown. So at age 17, all the way up to 2000, that was 91. So all the way up to 2004, you could truly say that this young man right here, I didn't do none of that church stuff. I was like, I churched enough when I was a kid. I'm big bad. I'm doing my thing. I'm DJing. You know, even as a child, a teenager, I straddled the fence, as I was telling y'all. I DJ'd in the club Friday to Saturday, then jump in the choir stand on Sunday. My granddad was always against that, but I did it anyway. So when I got out into the world, I just DJ'd because I wasn't going to church. So, but as I look back over time, and a lot of my friends talked to me, I was doing things that I thought I was big and bad enough to do, but I always had a conscience. And with that conscience, I never did stuff that I knew would really be frowned upon or hurt me, and like drugs or anything, because I was in the military. So drugs was like no option, no way, because you would have got kicked out. You didn't want to get kicked out. Hey, don't do drugs. So I went a span, I think, what's that, over 13 years? 13 years without no church influence. So when I returned home, I dabbled back into the church and never just could find the right church that would satisfy my hunger. So I stopped going. And my whole thing was, even from childhood, I loved to hustle. I had great work ethic. So I knew the only way I was going to get money was I was going to have to go out and earn it. I wasn't going to go sell drugs. I wasn't going to go pimp myself, even though I felt like I got pimped a couple times with the different women. Because a big gap of that, I can tell you, even from childhood, I love the ladies. So that's part of my transformation as well. I was, like my name say, I was whorish. Very whorish. And, you know, it took growing up and maturing to get out of all that stuff. So let's speed up. 04 to probably about maybe 2018. I just work. Because all I love is money. Even relationships were up and down, you know, far from few, because I was still being a hoe, being hoish. And all I wanted to do was make money. And I raised my kids. I had Lance, of course, out there in Hawaii. Then right before I left, after I left Hawaii, couldn't get enough and end up with the twins. So that gave me 3 kids. And then when I got back here, high school sweetheart I had ended up getting with her, and that made 4. But I always hustled because I never wanted them to go without. And that was part of the reason I hustled so hard. You know, other reason was, like I said, I love money. Money, they say the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, I can kind of agree with that, because as I live here and sit here and can tell you now, back in of last year, what was that? 2021, I had a gout attack, and it caused me to be off from work. I was driving trucks, so it caused me to be off. And during that time, I still had some money, but I was still trying to get well. And right at the tail end of 2021, I rolled into 2022, still ready to go back to work, but still not quite 100%. And catastrophic failure. Kidneys went out, had a heart attack. Man, I wasn't worried about my health. I was worried about, man, I was going to go get a 2022 truck. And now they're going to give my truck to somebody else because I already done put in for this. That's what I was worried about, because I'm like, man, I'm down on funds. I mean, what I had when I was driving, I'm going broke. But I couldn't see it. I was still tunnel vision. So, laying up in the hospital, they was like, how long, who is your kidney doctor? What kidney doctor? They said, your kidneys are gone. You stage 3 kidney failure. You should have been seeing a kidney doctor for the last year or so. And I'm going like, I hadn't even been sick that long. I'm like, well, who is your cardiologist? What are you talking about? You have chronic heart disease. What are you talking about? No, congestive heart failure. That's what they told me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Man, until I came here for the first time, I never had any health problems. So there I am, laying on the bed. I'm broke. They telling me you gotta get a kidney. You're gonna need dialysis, and we're gonna try to help you with your heart and get you back up on your feet. And I'm just baffled, because still all I can think about is I'm supposed to be in Ohio this weekend, and they got a brand new white Volvo 780 waiting on me, so I can go make me $6,000-$7,000 a week. That's all I'm caring about. I said all that to say this. Growing up as a child, you realize in a household like I grew up in, very religious heavy environment, that it's not always about what you want. And see, it took me all these years to realize that I had strayed so far away from home. And when I say home, I'm talking about my home faith. I strayed so far away to God had to sit me down and say, hey, you got to get it together, young man. You got to get it together. See, you chasing a dollar, and that's not what is important in life, because if you rely on me, then I give you everything you need. And you already know that, and you just fail to realize this. So let me help you out. Lay on that bed. Your kidneys gone. Your heart gone. The doctors done gave up already. You ain't been in the hospital but one day. So who are you going to depend on? A nurse came through. I was laying on the bed crying. Nurse said, you can't listen to these doctors. And I'm like, what you talking about? She said, you can't listen to these doctors. You got to know that there is somebody you can go to that'll give you a yes, even when everything else says no. She said that God that you depend on, the God that you pray to, the God that you always know, you need to call on. So there I was, day 2 in the hospital. They giving me all kind of drugs. I got all kind of cables hooked up to me. And I started getting closer and talking to God, getting more serious, because I was already talking to him, but I started getting serious. And I said to myself, hey, he ain't finna die. We got a lot more living to do. So we need to talk to God and see what the plan is. And I prayed. And I kept having all these different things come to me. And God told me, like, you have everything you need. You have everything that you need. All you got to do is believe in me, have faith, and I'll take care of you. You got everything you need, Carlos. And I'm sitting here going, like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I think at this point it was like some desperate faith, wasn't it? You was desperate.
And you know, you would think it was desperate, but I call it naive, because I thought I was healthy enough. You know, I prayed. I never turned my back on God. I shunned what I already knew I had. I shunned away. I didn't completely just shut down my faith. I just said, hey, you know what? I want to do just enough to get by, so I can get back to making the money. I'm going to pray just enough to get by, because I want to get back to the money. I'm a hustler. So, amen, dog. I'm a hustler. But, you know.
So let me break in there real quick, because Stephanie, you dealing with your clients and everything, and it's going to be a question for both of y'all. So when do you think people seek change in their life? And the reason I asked that, because right where you start talking about it, some majorly had to happen to you before that change, before you had to seek change. And like I said, it's a question for both of y'all.
I think, working with my clients, change, seeking change is out of some desperation, like desperate faith. Like, I have change is inevitable. So it's like, how do I accomplish this? So it's out of hush smoke. It's out of desperation, and it's like feeling like there's no other resort, or like it's gonna happen. So like, how do I meet this challenge? So I think it's out of a desperation, or when it's very necessary. Sorry guys if I kind of went away with that. I'm like,
no, you right on, but
darn dog.
You're the dog. But no, like I said, some might look at it as desperation. But for me, I always had that conscience. I trust and believe. I always knew what my black behind is supposed to have been doing, but I just was resistant. I just didn't want to do it, because I'm like, I like to party. I'm a DJ. I'm running with the hottest crew in the South. So why would I want to go and waste God's time by trying to go and get into church? Because if I get back into the church, I'm grown now. I can't go and DJ and drink Hennessy all night and chase women and have 2 or 3 women come into the house and get freaky and then go to church the next day. Because see, you got to remember, when I was a teenager, it was different, because all we cared about was dressing, looking cool, and having a cool ride. But as an adult, that DJing thing, it's a whole new monster. I can get a whole lot of perks going on. I'm making big money. I'm driving trucks. I got a whole lot of more I can get into. So the conscience in me says, if you're not ready to turn that loose, then don't. Because when you come over here to this side, you got to fly right. You can't waste God's time talking about, well, God, if you help me out of this, then I won't do it no more. And then he help you out of it, and then you go right back to doing it.
So was it actually some hesitation and a conscious, or was it just I choose to not have accountability?
No, like I said, it was hesitation. The accountability part, I mean, like I said, I knew better. So that's why I refused to do it. But then having a praying family as well, because my family, they talk to me now. People talk to me now and they tell me different things, and I laugh because God, believe it or not, has a sense of humor. If you don't think God got a sense of humor, look at some of the animals he done created. God has he's very funny. And the things that I was craving, listen to me, the things that I was craving, the things that drove me the most, man, look at here. While I was sitting here it's been a year now, but as I sat here, starting July 2021, God said, with this medication, you can't drink. So I stopped drinking. And then when I got off the medication, I wasn't even thinking about it no more until somebody brought it up and said, hey, yeah, we finna go to the club, we finna drink.
You mean tell me you couldn't drink that 99 bananas?
I couldn't drink 99 bananas no more, huh? I'm talking about, and I DJ'd a party at the end of 2021. I DJ'd a party at my goddad's place. And my sister had cranberry and vodka. And I was like, what's that you drinking? And she's like, cranberry vodka. I said, let me get a sip. And I hit it. And I went, and she was like, what's wrong with you this week? And I was just like, take right. Like, what? Then I started realizing, like, you hadn't had a drink in 6 months. You don't even have the desire for it anymore. Trust and believe. If anybody tell you that God don't work miracles, they'll lie. Because I had 2 refrigerators in my house, and one was strictly for beer and liquor. My friends used to come over on the weekend, and if I didn't have to DJ somewhere, the party was here. And I had to have my Hennessy. I had to have my beer, whether it was light beer or imported or domestic. It didn't matter. I had a whole refrigerator with just beer and liquor in it. And as I sat home from July to December, not even realizing that he was removing that taste away from me, it left. It's gone. I got a bottle of white Hennessy that my homeboy brought me back from a cruise. It's still sitting in my room, unopened.
You want me to come get it from you?
You can come get it, cause it's that serious. I mean, he pulled the taste right out here lately, and I just realized this a couple of weeks ago. Somebody asked me, they were like, "So, why you not out on the scene no more and doing your thing? Like, we don't even see you posted up with no women. Ain't no women on your timeline. You ain't in the clubs. You ain't got nobody you calling your boo thing. Nothing like that. What's up, bro?" And I'm going like, man, first it was the liquor. Now it's the women. Don't tell me God don't move in mysterious ways, because that whorish part probably had a sex addiction to it. I was gone. I'm telling you, I needed it. And if you weren't coming, then she gonna come. And if she ain't gonna come, then her sister, cousin, her mama coming. Somebody coming.
Because the train was just gonna keep on rolling.
The train was gonna keep on rolling. And I realized this. I said, you know what? The 2 two worst habits that I thought I had were gone. And then I think it was last week on my podcast, I realized the money thing. My desire to hustle like I used to. I was like, I ain't gonna say it's all the way gone because I still like money, but I started to realize that what I was doing to get that money, how I was hustling, had 4 and 5 hustles going on at a time, and I just had to do it whether I was sick or not. I realized, hold on, homeboy, you ain't worked since June, well, really since February of 2021. You've been laid up since July, 4th of July weekend. So it's been a year. Your funds went all the way down to 0, but yet I have everything I need. If I got a bill that need due, all of a sudden funds will come from somewhere, and I'd be like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that." No, it's a blessing because I hadn't ran out of nothing, and I've been more devoted to my prayers and my relationship with God more than ever. But like I said, I don't think it was out of desperation because I always knew that He could provide. So I didn't get desperate and say, "Oh, I got to go to God." No, I just got tired of being hard-headed. I got tired of being hard-headed and said, "You know what? I know, Lord, I need to stop this foolishness. I need to just get right." And so it's like being converted a second time. And that's when the transformation began, because once I started my devotion to Him exclusively, things got 10 times better, 100 times better. And I'm talking about, I don't have no big old mansion on the hill to show for it. I don't have no fancy new car to show for it, but I have my health. My kidneys are still stage 3A, but they are stable. My heart, it has only improved 5% since February, but I have no blood clots. I have no constricted veins, valves, anything. Everything is just pumping and going like it's supposed to. But I have no regrets because, like I tell people, I had to go through what I went through to get to where I am today. And today, that transformation that y'all talking about is making me a better person, because I ain't gonna lie, I was rowdy and I could get crunk, and I noticed I'm more at peace now. You know, things don't get on my nerve like they used to. People talk about me because they know the old me, but I started to educate myself and realizing that the people that talk about me don't even know me. They're not even in my circle. So why are you worried about what they say? And then I started to realize that maybe it's the fact that they can't get close to you and learn you, so they try to tear you down. And see, with that being said, you got to realize you can't worry about what everybody say. You got to live your life how you need to live it, and you need to move, accordingly. Because I tell you, since I've been doing this podcast, my morning praise, life is so good. Life is so good.
So I'm gonna take a commercial break, and we're gonna talk about. So we done went through the change, and now we're gonna be in the transformation stage here. So let me take this break, and then when we come back, we're gonna jump into that one right there. All right, we back. So I put that little quote up there, and this is the wrap that section up, and just to jump back into this one right here. I put that up there, desperation for people who don't have options. And that's one of the things whenever I teach my transition service members about whenever we looking for employment. That's one of the quotes that I use all the time, and I usually tell them it's like, how many times have you done got so desperate that the only time you feel like you're desperate is if you don't have an option. But and just like how you was mentioning, you didn't feel like you was desperate because you knew you had other means, or you had other options that was out there. So and that's what I try to convey to those people. It's like, hey, look, don't think that you need to go in a desperate mode. And most of the time, that desperation, we see what happens when look how many people that's in jail right now, how many people that have passed away because they felt that they were so desperate they had to go and do something that they knew that wasn't right to do. And so that's what led them to those positions. So to jump on the transformation side, here's a question for you. So how has your transformation hindered or strengthened your relationships?
Well, I can tell you, it's funny. It's real funny because, like, during this transformation, a lot of people that I was normally, that would normally check on me or be around me, a lot of people start to look at me as I've changed. I was different because, I won't go live and I'm not doing the Jam Pony live sessions anymore where I'm playing, explicit music and cursing and, just giving everybody a home party show, a house party from the house. A lot of people said he done changed. He acting funny now. Now he trying to be holy moly. You need to utilize your platform differently. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, I thought I was transforming into something good. Like, it's something that's going to spiritually help me. It's helping me physically. And y'all hating on it? That's crazy. Strengthening, though, it peeled back all the layers. Like they say, an onion has a bunch of layers. It peeled back a whole lot of layers on people. And the people who was for me, they're still here. People who knew me from olden days, my younger days, they're still here because they already knew what type of person I was. So I always tell people, DJ Baby Ho was somebody I had to put on. I had to put that mask on and be that person to satisfy the street life. DJ Hut, Carlos, I don't have to pretend to be him. And that's what makes my show so easy to do because, I already knew gospel music. I played it. So, and I knew the spiritual connection that I have with music. A lot of my spirituality is through music. And it helps soothe me. It soothes the beast. So a lot of, like I say, the people who truly know me, they weren't surprised. They was just like, that's who he is. We knew that other guy, that wasn't him. He was pretending. So the ones that I lost, the ones that hardly come around anymore, I still love them. It's okay. I'm not changing. I mean, I'm not changing back. I'll put it like that. I'm not changing back to the old version of DJ Baby Ho and Hut. And I'm not changing back because I'm too old. And I know better. I'm wiser. As the times changed in life, it's not 1990, 80 and all that no more. These new times are different and things are more severe. You got to wise up at some point in your life and you got to, have accountability for what you do. You got to learn how to be a man. And if you don't have a relationship with some type of spiritual being, I'm not gonna say just God, because some people don't believe in that. But if you got to have faith in something, and that faith I've learned has helped heal me, because yes, I was broken. I was very broken. I was naive.
And that actually, wraps up the next question I was going to ask, and find out, do you ever crave on going back to your previous ways of living? And most of the time, once you hit that transformation stage, and I'm gonna tell you about me, I jump on the bandwagon on this one right here and start talking. Back in '98, when we was rolling hard and strong, you're right. You had a mask on, and something that I'm really starting to realize, and I was just having the same conversation with my daughter yesterday at breakfast, is when we do a lot of things to, I guess, appease other people, and whenever we do it, sometimes we trying to appease other people, and sometimes we trying to appease ourselves. And whenever I say we're trying to appease ourselves, how many times do you see people always talk about, I'm beautiful, I'm beautiful? Why are they really doing that? Are they trying to make you believe that they're beautiful, or are they trying to make themselves believe that they're beautiful?
Yeah.
And and so I started thinking about stuff like that, and like you were saying, back in '98, were we really doing that because this is the mentality that we had, or was it a mentality that this is a persona that we got to show for everybody else to see it?
And that's exactly what it was, because I mean, there were times where just having conversation, you and I, where I knew that you knew and you knew that I knew we weren't those people. But when we stepped out that barracks, you had to be Aloysius and I had to be Baby Ho, because the women expected that. The people expected that. They were like, the boys right there, they running through the whole barracks. They know you can't. That pretty boy. I mean, my boy
LL
was.
Cool J.
What you say? He was the. Let me tell you, I ain't even gonna. I'm not gonna even front. Standing next to that boy right now. Oh Lord, have mercy. Aloysius, I'm like, hold up. I'm the DJ. Hey, I'm cut creator. That's LL. He was like the light skinned versions of Morris Chestnut. I'm like, what?
Oh Lord.
I'm like, man, this dude here.
Now, mind you, I was just a lot skinnier then.
I'm like, this dude here he get all the babes. So can I get your leftovers? Because I was the man before you got here. Now you took over. Smooth, debonair. Always.
Anthony.
Thank you, not me.
No,
Now, and if anybody ever told you, if anybody who knew me in school, they'd be like, man, that dude was shy. He didn't talk, and all this other stuff. So, hey, and that's to me, whenever you go into situations like that, and that's what really got me to start thinking about that particular thing, is because I had in my mind, once I joined the Navy, it was like I had to switch that persona, and that persona was, this is who you have to be to stand out. You don't want to be that person sitting on the side, always in the corner looking crazy, So in order for you to break that, what do you do to break it? Let me put that, like you said, let me put that mask on and let me jump out there.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I realized that, but it took me years to realize it. I mean, I knew better, but man. But like I said, now that weight is off my shoulder, that helmet, that mask was heavy. Man, that mask real heavy. It weighs you down. But to be able to take it off and lift your shoulders up and hold your head up and just be who you naturally are, man, it is such a relief. It's such a relief. And I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I was a bad boy, yeah. But I don't miss it, because God has, like I said, man, he's funny. Like I said, everything that I thought I was big and bad enough I wanted to do, he took it away one by one. And then he showed me how just depending on him, that he provide me with everything I need and sometimes more. And I'm like, this ain't no Bible story. This ain't no scripture in the Bible. My name Carlos, not Luke, John, David, none of that. Psalms, I ain't none of them. I'm Carlos, and I'm telling you what Carlos has experienced. And like I used to tell people, man, I can show you my bank account. Now, if I show it to you, you're gonna have to pay me $1,000 because you all in my business. So I'm gonna make some money off this. And you all in my business. You want me to be embarrassed, but I ain't even embarrassed to say it no more. I'm like, man, I was down to zero, scratching my head, thinking, okay, how I'm gonna pay my phone? Because I ain't got that with a cell phone bill and truck insurance. I'm going like, I'm gonna pay all this stuff, man. What's going on? It didn't happen, bro. And like I said, he always showed up and said, there you go. That's taken care of. Keep on focusing on me. And it's like the more I prayed, the more I got in tune and in sync with God. Whoo! Man, I could look at anybody and be like, you think I want to go back to doing that? Are you serious? Man, you crazy. I told my cousin, I always say he's a pastor, and he always say at funerals, people always talk about they living their best life. They sang a song talking about, I'm living my best life. But this ain't your best life. Your best life start when you get to heaven. And I'll be like, woof.
But you know what? Now here, and I don't condemn nobody because I ain't the judge of the jury on that. But my only thing with that one is I hope, I pray that this is not their best life. And the next life that they going into is gonna be their best life. For some,
bruh, case in point, young man got buried yesterday. Used to live next door to me. 19 years old. His friends, when they got to the funeral, they said while the casket was still open, they put money and blunts in the casket. When they lowered the casket into the ground, they made it rain. I said, well, what he gonna do with that money? They said he gonna spend it whenever he get to heaven or hell, whichever one he go to, he gonna turn up because he got money. And my mom said, I want to hear the testimony that comes back and said he really got a chance to spend that money. Because she said, that's a lost generation to think something like that. But I'm like, y'all telling me this is not true. Everybody that I talked to, they was like, no, we was there. They made it rain. The money is in the vault because the grave diggers went ahead and slapped the vault on the vault and left. And I'm thinking to myself, like, y'all threw money in the ground, talking about he gonna spend it when he get to heaven or hell?
No, the only thing they did was they gave those grave diggers a tip. So they went back down there and grabbed that. That's the only thing
I would have been grabbing that.
I thought about that. I said, I wonder if somebody gonna go back out there and pull that slab up and get that money.
Come on now, somebody gonna do it.
That's crazy. But I don't know. It's a generational thing. I don't know what they call this generation. But
you know what? So before you move on to that one right there, and this is yet again, I was in my thoughts one day.
Come on,
we always blame different generations for different things, right? But here's my only issue with that. Anything that you've learned from some kind of way. So there always had to be a teacher. So it's hard to blame somebody, a different generation, or it's hard to blame somebody kids about something. whenever you was the teacher or somebody else, they had to find, if you didn't teach them, they got to talk from somewhere else.
They got it from somewhere.
So wherever it came
It didn't
from,
start with them. It had to
right.
come from somewhere. Yeah.
So that's why me personally, I had to start refraining, especially being in the Navy and I'm study coming up, and I'm just like, man, this generation here. Well, you know what? It was my generation, and it was the generation before that we dropped the ball. So why can I can't really blame. I can blame them, but I can't really blame them for us dropping the ball on something.
And who was responsible for Aloysius and DJ Ho?
Who is responsible for it? I would say
for you too.
Me personally, the person that was responsible for it, I'm gonna take responsibility. But it was also people that I was mirroring also.
Yeah.
Because I had to learn it.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing that
A learned behavior.
It was a learned behavior.
Yeah, because I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I wish I had a picture of it, but man, what you talking about? I got what, 8 or 9 sisters and a brother. My daddy was a truck driver. He was a bartender in the club. He drove fast cars. He got a sports car every year. He didn't care. He just gonna do his thing. He was very known throughout our area, and the women still talking about him today. I be in the grocery store at the gas station, and women look at me like, "Ooh, you look just like your daddy. Your daddy was the woo." Your daddy come in the club and said, "I'm going home with her tonight," and he get her too. And I'm like, these old women having thoughts of 1970 and you know, they thinking about 1970 and 1980. And they still got these memories like, woo, your daddy, and you look just like him. I'm like,
tell your daddy, I said, ah.
Tell your daddy, I said, ah. And I'm like, what? But it's, you know, I love my dad. My daddy he was very animated and he was wild. He was the life of everybody party. And even though I didn't grow up in a household with him, because of course he was being hoish and had a whole bunch of women. I saw some of that, so I wanted to be cool just like that. Because it wasn't a woman that didn't love him, except for my mama. She loved him for a little while, then she just used the rest of her life to talk about him till he died. Like, he ain't nothing. You know, she ain't say nothing. She said the real word. She is just like...
She used the pretty words.
She used a pretty word. My daddy dated a woman named Eileen before he dated my mom named Pauline. And the women would ask him, who you go with? He'll say Lean. I go with Lean. Eileen or Pauline? Stop playing. I said Eileen now, you know. I was the same way.
So Anthony just posted this right here. Being a ladies' man is taught slight difference than learning. These kids, they have just 1 or 2 siblings and are the parents' friends. You know what? That's a true statement with this parents and friendship and all this other stuff. You know, I think we didn't take this to a whole different level. Hey, Anthony, before you get off of this podcast, man, hey, give me a shout out, give me a call, because I want to. Probably our next show, I want to get with you and your people and see if y'all can come on through on our podcast. And he also followed up with so they aren't being taught anything. That's true.
That's true.
So the thing is with being teaching is, if I can't teach you something I don't know, and a lot of people, they don't know how to be who they want somebody else to be.
Now you say that the young kid that passed, he got shot trying to go into somebody's house. His grandmother was raising him. His mom had already passed, and he was staying with his dad and his grandma. The dad died last year. He was a drug dealer and started using his own stuff, and then his health diminished. But the grandma was raising him, and he just turned 19. And they had 3 block parties for him, raising fish fries and all that. But she came over one day. They was having a block party next door, and she came over, And she said, it's my fault that he died. And I was like, ain't your fault. She said, Carlos, I didn't know how to raise no man. I could raise him while he was a child and while he was a teenager. She said, but I don't know nothing about raising no man. And that right there stuck with me. I was like, wow, that's something to think about. A grown person saying, because she's like at least in her 60s, because she's like around my mom's age. So for her to make that statement, like, you know, he was fit to be, you know, going through that young adult transformation. And she was like, I didn't know. She said, I didn't raise Mario, his daddy, the daddy. She was like, that's why he was out there like that. He was selling drugs and doing all kind of crazy stuff. So now here, his dad is gone. He just died a year ago. Now here he's out in the street wilding out and everything. And she said, I don't know that's about raising a man. I didn't know how to raise a man. So she said, this is my fault. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's a tough burden to bear. Because basically, a lot of people say it ain't true. I say it's true for around here because I see it every day. Social media raised this generation, these young people in my area. I don't know about y'all area, but down here, social media raises. Even with my own kids, I was tough on my kids, but they were, you know, they rather listen to Kodak Black tell them something than me tell them something. They rather listen to the city girls talk about really. That was gospel. You know, that's gospel. You know, we came up on, you know, we came up on gospel music and gospel, but their version of gospel, it ain't even Kirk Franklin. It's City Girl, Kodak Black. What's the other boy? The Baby.
Which the baby? Little Baby.
Little Baby, Baby Boy, Baby. And they look at these people as their idols. They look at them as their idols and they go, I want to be cool like that because that person, he young and he already got $1 million. That's all I want. I want to make that $1 million. I want to drive me a Bugatti and put a grill in my mouth and give me a wife beater and throw all my money out the top. Because money has no value to these kids. Case in point, you threw all that money in the grave yesterday, and now today you're broke.
Did you say they was having fish fries? Was the fish fries and stuff to raise?
Money to bury.
And so instead of using that money to go and put it on a funeral, they rather have somebody out here hustling and then throw it down there where it's at. So hey, I'm gonna have to cut this one short because we have reached our time here. I put this on the screen right here. It's amazing that I was talking about change and transition. I wrote this back December 28th of 2020, and I came from a different perspective about change and transition. But it's up there on my website right there. And also, people, if you don't know, DJ Hut, like he was mentioning, he got his morning praise show, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, listen, you sound like me.
Hey, go to the man. Go to the man's. You got to give them the YouTube just in case they not on Facebook. I didn't get the YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah. So
YouTube is what Tri-State DJ. Well, no, it's DJ Hut.
Okay, then. So you can go to YouTube and then hit them up on that one right there, or you can go to the page on Facebook and listen to it. And of course, you know, as long as you subscribe to it, it's gonna pop up, and it pops up every morning on mine. And I'm telling you, I'm an hour behind, which makes it even better for me since I am an hour behind, and I'm rocking and rolling because that's how I always got my morning started. But then I'm like, you mean tell me I ain't got to, you know, find music on my own? And the people that you have on there, Hey, what they say? Everybody trying to pat their foots on there.
Yeah. I actually had somebody try to correct me one day. They said, you said pat your foots. That's country. You're supposed to pat your feet. I said that's the whole point in it. I was like, I'm trying to show people that I'm not perfect. My platform is not for the holy moly Christians. It's for the broken and in need of emergency care centers. And see, that's why I said earlier, that's why I'm going through this transformation, because God allowed me the time to get in the streets and lay down with all the sinners and hang out with them. And now they trust me. Now I get to show them, hey, look where I came from. You can do the same thing. Look at my transformation. Look where I came from. You can do the same thing. And I'll teach you how, because I got ministers, I got mothers, I got deacons, I got sisters, I got brothers, all in the ministry. And they all go, wow. Because to them, what I'm doing, they would have never thought about doing. They wouldn't have tried to reach out and go get my DJ crowd and say, hey, come to the church. They just rather give up on it and say, who come, and the people who in the street. But yes, I realize God using me in a special way, and I appreciate it, and I thank him for the transformation, because it has truly increased my life. I'm talking about, I can see myself living for a little while and not dying on the sofa over there from a heart attack, from my kidneys, and trying to figure out what's going on, Mr. Hutley. I love it.
So Anthony asked this question right here. What is the antidote to raising these kids correctly today? So Anthony, I'm glad you asked that question. So whenever, if it's in God's will, and if it's in your purview of next week, we can discuss that right there, and that'll be y'all subject topic. If you want to come on, or if you want to bring the whole gang on, that'll be what we're going to talk about. Because yet again, when we start talking about change versus transformation, we can change the way we think and all this other stuff, but until everything is transformed, we still gonna be in the same situation that we're in right now. Yes. And also, he asked a question, I guess to you, Carlos. He said, "What city do you live in?"
Oh, I'm in Quincy, Florida. Quincy, Florida is a smaller town right outside of Tallahassee, Florida, home of the Florida State Seminoles and the Florida A&M Rattlers. So,
and best believe at the end of the show, he gonna play the anthem from the Rattlers there.
What you talking about? I ain't gonna do nothing, bro. At the end of the show, I definitely play it, because they love it. One of the mothers, her grandson, he's the drum major. Mother Ripman, her grandson is the drum major for the March 100. So yeah, that's why we play it. Give her, she 80 years old, and we love her to death. Call her Mother.
Well, the way we end our shows is if you got some, if you want to wrap it up with if you got some type of insight, some type of quotation, anything like that, this is how we're gonna wrap our show up today. So, you got anything for us? Whatever your final saying you got?
You talking about me?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I can tell you, and I mean, first I want to thank y'all for having me on. And this is the first time for me. I do my own thing, but I have never been a part of a big time podcast like this, so I feel special.
I ain't gonna say we big time, but I'm just say we up and coming.
Hey, y'all big time in my book. So if I ever get an award, I'm gonna say I want to give a shout out to my boy Hub, because he gave me my first shot on somebody podcast other than mine. And I want to thank Stephanie, because she didn't beat me up too bad, because she could have asked some hard questions and I could have just gave her the raw truth, because I don't know. It's funny. I don't know how to lie no more. I mean, I know how to lie, but it feels so much easier to just tell the truth. Tell the truth. But I always tell people, it took a long time to actually see what my purpose was, and I'm still learning my purpose. But the one thing I definitely know that God has brought me from a long way, and He never left me, because He could have said, "Away with you," and ended my life many a times, but I had purpose, and I've learned that purpose. So now I'm walking by faith, and I'm turning into a little soldier, because I learned today the word, the blood, and the name Jesus. That's all you need. That's all you need. The jump on this spiritual warfare that is plaguing this country right now. If you believe in those three, you are already armed with everything you need. And I learned that in church today, but it was something I already knew, but it came to me today, and it made more sense. And it's words that I'm going to start truly living by, because you shouldn't be afraid of anything. If you trusting in God, you shouldn't be afraid of the attacks from the devil. Devil don't have no power. You got to learn how to get on the offense and use those three things and chase the devil out of your life. And you got to bring people along with you, because everybody may not see that they're heading down a dead end. They may not see that their life needs to be picked up, and they can change it by just taking simple little steps. So check back with me. The journey is just beginning with me. The journey is just beginning. Check me out 6 months or a year down the road and see where I'm at. If I'm still here, God's will, man.
Hey, we sure enough will. Stephanie, what you got? What you gonna leave us with?
I got a little quote. It's very short. So, nothing happens until the pain of remaining the same outweighs the pain of change. And that's Arthur Burt. So,
Something about change. No matter if you like it or not, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Bound to happen. Yeah.
All right. I couldn't make my mind up, so I got two of them.
Go ahead.
So the first one is, change itself is not progress, but change is the price that we pay for progress. And the second one is, change is inevitable. Growth is optional. So, and it goes back to what you were saying. We can change all day, but if you're going to revert back, think about how many people that came out of jail. They had their renewal of their mind whenever they was in there. They get back out. They got desperate. Then next thing you know, they back in there. So,
Back in there.
All right, then, people.
Sad.
A sad situation. But the only thing we can do is pray for them and hope that they have change in their life too.
Yeah. I'm going to pray for y'all.
I was going to say, pray for me.
I'm going to pray for y'all.
Hey, we all need it.
We all need a little prayer. And I like networking. Just, I like the network, because that means you get an unexpected prayer from somebody they way over there praying for you. And the devil trying to throw a curveball at you and don't even know you got somebody over there praying for you, and I seen it coming, and whoop, it deflect right off you. So yeah, I love.
That was my ninja.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's why I just said, "Oh my God!" All right, then, good people. That's the end. Hey, thank y'all for being on here, and for the viewers, man, thank y'all for tuning in for another show. And we out.
We out.